Oh, we got that clear.
Any
Thank you.
and study. There are people, there are students at the center who are Buddhist, who are Catholic, who are Muslim,
and
who
they're
are
still
Jewish.
practicing it.
Yes, and they still go to church on Sunday, and they embrace this wisdom. It's a technology. It's like to say, just because you study Kabbalah, it doesn't mean that you can't do yoga, or that you shouldn't use the technology of mathematics.
Does this offend you that 98% of the people we asked really said Madonna?
No, she's been an amazing channel who has really opened people's minds to what this wisdom is, and made a lot of changes in her own life.
It sounds a lot like, it's focused on the brain mostly, like it's an intellectual person.
Are we misunderstanding it?
Well, it's
or are we misunderstanding it?
I don't know. I mean, the way they explain it, it's a lot
it's like an intellectual motion for the most part.
No, because when I was reading it, some say that other texts were saying you have to be ready to receive the Kabbalah. So it presupposes a set of intellectual capacity. And the way you describe it, parang ganun din eh.
Well, there's the difference with what the Kabbalah Center teaches, and there are many different paths in Kabbalah, is that what the Kabbalah Center embraces is that it gives it as a practical wisdom. It's that how can I take this wisdom and make a practical change in my life and see a result today? And that it's something that it's about your consciousness. Where is my thought and everything? But there always has to be a balance to what I feel, and not just to only think with your head. Sometimes you need to think with your heart. But for each person it's different. And it's an individual path that everyone needs to decide for themselves what is right. That's why it says these are the principles, but you need to test them out and see which ones work best for you. Because I can't tell you what's right for you. You need to figure that out.
So there are no equivalent to commandments like this is bad and that is good. Does it leave it up to you? You decide what is good and bad? Or are there absolutes like murder and coveting property and people? Do you have those rules too? Sorry, because we're very narrow-minded and very archaic, and our parents did a number on us.
I'm sure everyone has these questions.
Parang, do you have these? Because it sounds like a very open, flexible, up to you kind of technology, etc. But do you have laws, like absolutes that you cannot define?
The question is that every action that we do, it either connects us to the light or it disconnects us. And so you need to ask yourself, okay, if I murder this person, God forbid, like, is this going to connect me? Is this going to help me or hurt me? And that's what you need to ask.
So the Kabbalah does it in the center and whatever you call the leaders, elders, sorry, it's archaic.
Teachers.
They don't say you cannot do this and you cannot do that.
No, it's never for someone to tell someone else what to do, but if you teach them what the spiritual laws of the universe are,
then there are understandable directions.
Exactly. You'll know what connects you to the light and what doesn't.
Somebody said, it sounds very matrixy.
Well, it's actually it's very spiritual, that movie. When you actually take Kabbalah 1, 2, and 3, you see what where they actually took a lot of their ideas.
The values of the film.
Exactly.
Somebody texted with no name. Is Madonna a good advocate to the teachings of Kabbalah the same way Tom Cruise is to Scientology? Kailangan ba may artista?
It depends on what you choose to see in the person. You can choose to see the good that Madonna has done and see how much she's given back to the world in the recent years, or you can choose to judge her on past actions. It depends on what you want to see.
I think they were asking you, how do you feel about Madonna as an advocate? I guess you had answered that.
I always choose to see the good in someone.
Gosh, you Kabbalah people are nice people. My neighbors. No, what if somebody offends you? What's Kabbalah motion towards this? Like, we can't help it, no? If your neighbors play really bad karaoke music. I'm not talking about grave offenses, I'm just talking about the little irritants. And there are, like in driving, someone you work with perhaps, or there are just some people who aren't your type. Their voice, or whatever. This is human. This is so human. How does Kabbalah, teach you to react to these minor irritants?
One of the things that we learn is that every challenge in life in every situation, the light and the blessings are always concealed. And it's through overcoming the challenges that we earn an opportunity to make a connection. So if you are an impatient person, the universe is going to bless you with the slowest people in your life until you can overcome that situation.
Really?
So it's a lot like that, you know, that saying, there's a reason why people are, you know, they pass through your life, and then when you're friends with them, and then after a spell, they're gone. It's because you've learned the lesson from them.
Right.
I don't want to be a lesson to someone.
Exactly. No, I won't be a lesson in my life.
I'm being difficult.
We'll be together forever.
Dude, I'm being a lesson to you.
I'm a cautionary tale, okay?
No, I understand that. But because in the Catholics, the way at least I was raised as a child, very narrow-minded, etc., it would be, oh, she's really annoying, so just offer it with a good off. Do you have something like that? Do you have a mechanism like that?
Well, it's different for everyone.
Because that's how we solve it.
It depends on what your correction is. Sometimes it's to give patience to the other person, to give love. If you have a correction,
But doesn't that excuse
speak
bad
up.
behavior of the other? Doesn't that give an excuse for the other to have bad behavior?
But we're not here to judge other people.
God, I love that. I love judging.
That's the hardest thing not to do.
I know.
Yes.
And Kabbalah really says.
At least for me,
But there must be some people you don't like. Come on.
No, for sure. And before that, I didn't even think, or I never thought I judged people. I was like, no, I just have high standards. So it's something that really opens your mind, and then you're be conscious about what your thoughts are and what you do.
I have a question, but sometimes my being judgmental has protected me from people who are toxic. Because I'm judgmental, I think I'm judgmental, or some people hide it in the phrase, good judge of character, but really I think I'm judgmental. It has protected me from being involved or interacting with people who I would rather not interact with. I've protected myself certain situations. So doesn't the exercise of being judgmental, it has helped me somehow in my interactions. How does one react to that in the lines of Kabbalah teaching?
You know, it's a very important point. There's a difference between being judgmental and having an observation about another person.
Okay.
When you're judgmental, you have negative intent towards the other person. You have negative thoughts towards them. But if you simply avoid a negative situation, that's different than wishing someone else ill or having a malicious.
Oh, I don't wish them ill, I just want to avoid them forever. That's different, right? Okay. Yeah. I am now validated. Okay, let's talk about the Zohar. The Zohar is, sorry again, narrow-minded definition, your equivalent of the text.
It's the principal text of Kabbalah, and it's where all of the spiritual laws and energy is contained. And it's our principal text that we study from.
You've always had a leaning towards this, or were you once like me, where I always stay where I am, and if this works, it does, and if this doesn't work, I'll dispose of it? But were you always a searching kind of person since you were young? That's why you led me to Kabbalah?
You know, actually, I used to make fun of people who believed in it.
Okay, yes, we're somewhere there. Sorry.
Yeah.
But you guys are nice. You're supposed to change everything. As soon as the word empower, energy, no, I block off. But then I realized how that means. So you were that way too. And how did accepting nature happen?
I went in as a very critical student, and I was like, you know, I didn't believe in anything that was there, and so I went to a free introductory lecture because I was like, all right, you know, I've heard about it, I'll check it out. I'm open-minded, so I'll see what it's about. And one of the first things I was told was not to believe anything I heard, and not to believe anything I read, but to test it out for myself to see what was true. So I went and I didn't believe anything they told me.
Was it because you were having a faith crisis? I'm assuming you were born and raised Catholic. You were raised Catholic.
No, not at all. It had nothing to do with that. But it was that I went and I felt something there, and I was like, okay, I don't believe them, but if this is true, I have to try it. Okay. And what have I got to lose by connecting to something that is that amazing? So
you sound like you shot for a set of beliefs. Did you explore another set of beliefs prior to Kabbalah? Like, did you try Zen, Taoist beliefs, or Tantric yoga, whatever? Sorry, I'm inventing.
That's a religion, huh?
I don't know. It could be mine.